This weekend saw Democratic presidential candidates and even the lone Republican challenger to President Trump, former Massachusetts Governor Bill Weld, racing to event after event in Iowa. Meanwhile, the president reportedly raised $12 million at fundraisers on Friday night and then began his vacation at his golf club in New Jersey, a vacation that includes a barrage of tweets and retweets. NewsHour Weekend special correspondent Jeff Greenfield is here now to talk about all that and more political news. To say that the president retweeting a conspiracy theory connecting the Clintons to the death of Jeffrey Epstein is a surprise? Not so much. I mean,
in one sense, you could say, what else is new? He was the birther conspiracy guy. He said millions of illegal aliens cost him the popular vote. He thought Justice Scalia's death was fishy. But still, when you read something like that, this president accusing another president of complicity in murder, that's what we think other countries were like when they would jail or execute political opponents. And the barriers that are not just pushed but crashed, combined once again, with the massive silence of his own party, in one sense, I think just leaves you as though you've been poleaxed. It's like, did I really read that?
Yeah.
Am I really hearing this from a president of the United States? The sheer overreach, in some sense, protects him because you almost literally can't believe it. We don't know how to get our heads around it.
Yeah. Well, let's get our heads around actual news that did matter this week, that was substantive and oftentimes is ignored by the tweet stream and these kinds of spectacles.
I think one of the big stories was the fact that Sue Gordy, the deputy DNI, Director of National Intelligence, was forced out of her job by her boss, who is himself being pushed aside, Dan Coats, because the president doesn't trust the intelligence he gets or he doesn't like it when it contradicts his ideas. Now, Sue Gordy is the kind of person that a government should embrace. Both party intelligence experts really respect her. They wanted her to get the chief job. And for her to be brushed aside as a part of a piece, we also saw a scientist in the Department of Agriculture quit because he wasn't permitted to present evidence that climate change was having an effect on nutrients like rice. And we've heard the FBI saying, we really want to focus on domestic terrorism, by which they mean white nationalist terrorism. But we're really uncomfortable if that's going to affect somehow people in the president's base. And what's the common theme? That people in power don't want to hear facts that challenge their premises. And whether it's been Vietnam or Iraq or God knows how many other examples, when people in power don't want to hear evidence that may force them to change their minds, you got a problem.
This weekend, we also saw every Democratic candidate running around, and obviously Bill Weld as well. They're eating turkey wings at the state fair and whatever else they have to do in Iowa. But you also see a steady drip of stories over the past few days on Joe Biden and their verbal gaffes. Again, in the context of the tweets and so forth that we were just talking about, they pale in comparison. But what's the net result?
The problem, and I think normally I'm inclined to say, come on, this is hype. But there are times when these events have a political impact, and that is when they tend to reinforce a stereotype anyway. So, for instance, when Gerald Ford, the most athletic president we ever had, pro football player at times, had a few trips, and Chevy Chase of Saturday Night Live turned it into, I guess, a meme, that all of a sudden he was a klutz. Dan Quayle, the question about him was he really up to the job? And so when he misspelled a word, it was, well, there it is. So for Biden, what's a dilemma? He's old. And an otherwise unmemorable slip, particularly if there are a couple, begins to raise that question since it's there anyway in the political firmament. And so I hate to sound superficial about this, but those things can matter.
All right, Jeff Greenfield, thanks so much.
Thank you.